with you. Hit that again. Well, hello, everybody. It is a final in Bloomington. It's over. Michigan loses 75-73 to the Hoosiers. And that's the end of the regular season for the Wolverines. They'll head to Chicago to the Big Ten tournament later on this week. But another game and another overtime game and another chance for Michigan to win a big ball game. But they're just not able to win big ball games. And even though there's a lot of things to like about Michigan, just like in this game here, if I had to say one thing about this team, we know that all season long, whether it's been against Virginia earlier in the season, in the non-conference season, the North Carolina game, the Kentucky game, the Indiana game, the in Ann Arbor, the Iowa game in Iowa City, probably another 3 or 4 that's in there that, Michigan, they are in pretty good position, but I mean, like, you got to be able to close out ball games, if this just in. And for as much as I like, a lot of the players on this team and a lot of different things with the individual players, and I'd say the coaches too, at some point, somebody's got to step up and make a play, and the coaches got to step up and be able to draw something up where, they can do more than what they've been able to do with the game hanging in the balance. So the too bad part is that, they win this game and it's a completely different tune for all season. You feel like that, hey, they finally, found a way to win a close ball game, or they found a way to get it done on the road. They found a way to win a big ball game with making some key plays down the stretch, or enough key plays. But that's the story of Michigan's season that you'll be able to look back on, that this was a team that was close but no cigar in a number of situations. And, you can go through, like I said, like, I like Hunter Dickinson, and mostly he played pretty well in this game, but you go to the end of regulation, and I don't know if he's 7-1, why he's bringing the ball down, or whether they throw to it, down at his ankles, but the other team comes over there and digs it out and he turns it over. Not once, not twice, with the game on the line. You got to be able to be stronger with it. You can't feed him the ball down there. That's going to happen. That was no good. As far as the coaches, I know a lot of people, I understand. I was thinking to myself, why not Kobe Buffkin, late in regulation? And instead, Michigan, they don't have the play that they want to go to when it's crunch time, is they want to give Hunter Dickinson a touch, or they want to give Hunter Dickinson the last shot, both of those things. And, if we just think about it, that doesn't sound like a bad idea, but, Hunter, it takes a lot to get it to him. It take a couple seconds, and it's almost like you got to serve him up on a silver platter, and the other team's going to be doubling him. And that's not great. He's not great. Nobody is, when you're doubling him down there. And other than that, it's like a scramble drill. Should it be Kobe? Should it be Jet? Should it be McDaniel? And, Michigan doesn't have any, as we saw, Joey Baker's done. They're not putting him in any crunch time situation. So they only had their starters. Cheddar got his teeth knocked out, and, so they were going with Reed late. But, this team has really had 4 players all year long, and, that's not going to, you're not going to be able to get it done. And I know some role players can, round things out, but you need some other guys to step up and be able to contribute more than the 5th, 6th, and 7th guys did on this team. So that's where I'm sitting here. This is, in this one particular game, you say, boy, you credit the Hoosiers. It was an entertaining game. Michigan had a big lead. They had a number of opportunities, and then you rinse and repeat, because that's the same thing they had against Illinois. That was the same thing they had against Indiana, where they couldn't score in the last 5 minutes of that game in Ann Arbor. That was the same story that they had when they were playing at Iowa City. That's too many games where Michigan has been in the lead and they haven't been able to execute down the stretch. They just don't have the horses to be able to get it done, the one guy to make enough plays where you can rely on, where you feel like somebody can lead the way. A lot of nice players, a lot of nice individual players, but together as a group, as the coaching staff, they can't execute enough against the quality teams to be able to get W's in late game situations. You'll hear a lot of people say a lot of different things, like they should have been going to Kobe with the last shot in regulation, and I'll agree with that. But overall, it's tough when it's a big pivot man that you want to get the ball too late, and he's just not getting it done in those situations. And then the other guys, whether you want to say you want to draw something up for them, that's fine. Draw something up for them. So that goes on the coaches not being able to do that, but every one of those guys had opportunities. Doug McDaniel had an opportunity. He couldn't get it done. Kobe had his opportunities. He couldn't get it done. And, this Jet opportunities, can't get it done. They don't have somebody that can make enough plays in big spots. And not just this game, all the games that have been close, they don't make clutch plays, enough clutch plays in crunch time. You want somebody to get you 75, 85, 90%, even 95% through the game and stay in there and give you a fighter's chance? Oh, this is a team for you. They can get you to the last 5 minutes of the game and you'll be sitting in a good spot. It'll be entertaining basketball. But when you're talking about crunch time, the last 5, 4, 3, certainly the last 2 minutes of a game, when you need to make the plays, this team cannot make the plays necessary to win enough ball games to get into the tournament. That's what happened with this team. The evidence was there. And does it reflect badly on the coaching staff? Yes. Does it mean that, what does it mean for these players out here? Well, it just means that overall, they're just not that good of a team together. They don't have enough. They didn't have enough on the bench. I mean, they had to go into this game. They don't have Joey Baker anymore. I mean, he shot himself out of the off the team after the Illinois game, so they couldn't go to him. TW2, Terrence Williams II. I mean, he's a junior. He's one of the captains on this team. He can't be in there at crunch time. They've got 5 guys, if you want to, stretch it out. And then when it comes to making plays, they don't have anybody that they can give the ball to that's going to make enough plays for them, whether you like it or not. And it's on the players and on the coaches. You want to say it's one over the other? Is that what we're doing? All right, let's do it. I think it always goes back to the coach. When you have this many games and this many spots, I mean, so he's the one that recruited all of these players. And to not be able to go down to the bench and have anybody that you can rely on to come in there and give you something, that's going to be on the coach. He put it together. And from the X's and O's side, there's enough instances. I'm more of in general, where you'd say, look, it's the players. They got to go out there and make the shots. They can't be turning it over. But that could be one game. Like the game against Illinois, I thought Michigan's coaching staff put the team in really good position in a number of times in that double overtime game, at the end of regulation, at the end of overtime. And they got a really good shot, actually as good a shot you could ever ask for to tie it up, talking about against the Fighting Illini. So I didn't really feel like that was the coaches. But when you have a repeated pattern of this game, the Illinois game, and again, we just keep going back, all of these games at Illinois, against Indiana, the game that was at the Chrysler Center, that Michigan went dry and empty in the last 5 minutes of the game to lose that one. That comes back to the coaches. And yeah, the players are part of it. They're all part of it. But overall, if I'm asking a question, who it's on more, well, it's going to be on the coaches. And when you're the head man, it's going to fall on the head man. That's what it's going to fall on. Now, does that mean that I feel like, Juwan Howard should be removed as the head coach? I don't. I mean, I'm sorry, excuse me. It feels like that. That's not going to happen. He's going to get another year, but, there's nothing about, hey, thanks for the season. You guys really played your ass off and everything else. It was a good season. This was a colossal disappointment for this year. And a lot of it is where the program is at. You want to make the NCAA tournament every season. And, Michigan should have made the tournament this year. In some ways, they got lucky last year because they came down to it and they ended up making water out of wine last year and getting into the tournament and then winning two games. And for the majority of the season, while it was frustrating, they made enough plays to finally get in there last year. And then they won the 2 games. So they turned a mostly negative for the entire season into a positive. That's the way it's done. That's the way it's done. This season felt a lot like last season, where the majority of the time here, it's been really shaky. It's like, really? This team's not going to make the tournament? Not going to make the tournament? And then all of a sudden, they do just enough to kind of tease you and put you in a spot, but not this year. Now we know their last chance, like everybody else. And, if you tell me, hey, who do you like in the Big Ten tournament? Anybody. I like everybody in the Big Ten tournament. Anybody can win it. Don't tell me that I think that Purdue's going to win it. I think Indiana could win it. I think Iowa could win it, even though they got beat by Nebraska today. Penn State's a hot shooting team. Michigan State, I think any of them could get hot. That's the way things have gone looking in this conference. There's no great teams in the Big Ten. The Big Ten's not making it out of the first weekend. I'll be shocked if any team makes it to the Sweet 16. The Big Ten, they don't have anybody this year. So, that gives Michigan a chance to say, hey, maybe they could go out there to Chicago. But, let's wait a couple of days before you start thinking about that. But that's my initial thought on it. I'll take you through this game a little bit. If you wanted to get in, we've got lots of feedback. The feedback was starting in the first half, because in the first half in this game, and we'll check the numbers, and we'll look at what lies ahead for the Wolverines. It's pretty easy now with the upcoming schedule. We just talked about it a little bit. Michigan is now stuck on 17. They've got 17 wins. And I know, part of the fun of this time of year is looking at Joe Lunardi and looking at other teams on the bubble. I would have done a lot of that if Michigan would have beat Illinois, but I didn't have the heart the last couple of days to be checking out teams on the bubble and telling everybody about Michigan's chances to get into the tournament. They had to win a ball game. Before I'm going to start looking, I got to start getting to 18 or 19 before I'm going to start, bringing the abacus out, and seeing if Jerry Palm and looking at all these net, I wasn't ready for all of that. And so Michigan, they could have won this game. Unbelievably, they'd have been a 2 seed in the Big Ten tournament. Now we have to wait and move it around somewhere between 5 and 8. I'll look and see if I can get that exact number for you and when they'd be playing and everything else. Coming up, if we have that while this broadcast is out. But I'll look into the feedback, and D's feedback was in the first half. In the first half, with the exception of the final 2 minutes, it was a sleepless, one-sided home court rout. I mean, it looked like it was going to be over early in this one, that you weren't going to have to watch the second half. It was all Hoosiers at Assembly Hall until the final 2 minutes, where Michigan went on a flurry. They went on a 10-2 run, or 10-0 run, 14-2. Stretch to pull within a bucket, 29-21 at the half. And this was the kind of stuff we were getting. This was before the 2 minutes. People were not happy, of course, with Juwan Howard. And it was DN who says, look at who's helping us make this run at the end of the half. Bufkin and Dickinson. Run the O through them. It was nice D at the end of the half. Bufkin knocking away the ball, leading Michigan to fast breaks. And that got us into the second half, where Michigan picked up where they left off. They're up 10 with 10 left. I mean, they look really good in the second half. this was a completely different team than the one you saw for the majority of the first half. It looked like they were lighting it up from downtown. They were sharing the ball. They were playing defense. I mean, everything that you would want. But hey, that's great. You got to be able to finish it off. How many times have we said that this year? Again, at least 5. You knew the Hoosiers were going to make a run, and it came down to the end, tied late at 69. That wasn't such a big surprise. But here's the way I saw it in regulation. Michigan, 44 seconds left. They throw it down to Hunter Dickinson. He gets stripped. Got to be stronger with the ball. Don't throw it at his ankles. But when you have the ball, you got to get it up high. You're 7'1". Thompson snatched it from him. Thompson went the distance and missed the layup, so Michigan got a break. They got the ball back. Do I really want Hunter Dickinson in a two-man game with 13 seconds to go for a topside 3 to win it? No, I don't. Although it was a pretty good look, and he almost knocked it down. Probably would have been best if TJD, Trace Jackson Davis, just would have knocked down that half quarter with 0.4. It has saved you from overtime. A lot of people frustrated with Kobe Bryant not being involved in that last 13.4. I think that is understandable. I would guess on the feedback that was being talked about it a lot. But in overtime, it was mostly IU. Thompson got the first bucket. TJD got some free throws. They got a 3. They're up 7 in overtime. But, Michigan, they missed their first 3 shots in overtime. Then they're scrambling. Dickinson actually hit a 3. And they get it to within down 3 with a minute 31 left. Dickinson misses a golden opportunity right in the paint. Michigan got it right where you want them. Missed it. Reed ended up with an offensive rebound, but the clock was running down. He missed the stick back. Still, somehow Michigan, with 23 seconds left, they are down 3. They throw it down to Dickinson, and he gets stripped again. So you can say, I'm sure Juwan Howard's like, you say, hey, what do you want me to do? Not run it through Hunter? You don't want me to give him the ball down low? 2 out of the 3 times he got stripped, and the other time was a grade A opportunity. It was his left hook, the exact one that he wanted, and he missed it. I think individually, I would hear Juwan. I would say, man, you got the ball to the guy you wanted. Should they not have been going to Hunter Dickinson late in these games? Because he had some issues. I mean, he gets him down there. And for as much as, Bufkin and everybody like, hey, get him the ball, it's that easy. Why not give Bufkin the ball? In overtime, the first possession did go to Kobe Bufkin. He came up short in the lane. It was a short one. Layup. Missed it. Then he missed a 3. First 2 shots went into Bufkin in OT. He couldn't get it done. So there you go again. It's the coaches overall, but it's also the players. I think they all want to be the hero, and they just scram a little bit too much, and they can't get it done in these big-time spots and these big-time games. That's going to be the story of Michigan's season when it comes down to it. I'll take some of your feedback, and let's read some of it. Big Meek says that last play before the end of regulation was horrible. That's the one where Dickinson got stripped. Dees is saying it's because Howard puts it in Jet's hands and not Bufkin, who can actually create off the dribble. Howard is one of the worst coaches in the league. Yeah, there's going to be a lot, like me sitting here defending Juwan Howard after this game, after this season. It was a disappointment from the head coach, and ultimately, it's going to go on him. Players take a large share of it too, but unless we're name calling anybody, he deserves the criticism here tonight on this Sunday, a week before Selection Sunday, where Michigan, unless they get to Sunday, are likely going to miss the tournament. BM 260 says B-ball is supposed to be played inside and kick out. That's what I mean with these situational possessions. Shaking my blanking head. Yeah, well, if they throw it into Hunter and just think about the overtime when they were up 7 against Illinois. It was the one play that sticks out to me. They went down to Dickinson. He turned, and instead of finding the three there, he threw it over to Doug McDaniel with 40 seconds left and Michigan up 3, and he was in a perfect position for 3 and nobody around him, and he couldn't make it. He makes that, Michigan's going to win that game. Couldn't do it. I'm looking at all these opportunities that Michigan had in overtime. Buffkin missed layup, a short one. Kobe, another miss. McDaniel blocked before finally Hunter got a 3. That was it. That's all Michigan got was that Hunter 3. Unless they got one late. What was the final? 75-73. Michigan got a free throw in there somewhere. Not a lot. You got a 3 from Dickinson. That's a power outage of points from Michigan again. Like, take the last 5 minutes in Ann Arbor and take the last 5 minutes in overtime, and I think Michigan had 1 field goal in 10 minutes against the Hoosiers. You want me to say it? That's not good enough. This upset. This is some of the commentary, I think, during the game. Why is this garbage reffing crew even looking at this? Yeah, me too. I'm not going to be defending any referees or anything else. Replays killed the game. Yeah. This was running on during the game. Let's get some of the ones towards the after the game where people are at. Antoine on this Sunday night is here. Jet did the same BS he did last game. Half-ass played, little effort. The fact that Juwan didn't pull him from the game is BS, that he didn't have Cheddar play more. KC says, I'm doing a good job. Thanks, KC. Everybody named Howard needs to go. All of the Howards have low basketball IQ. Yeah, I don't know about that. I mean, again, that's a little bit of the into the name calling. I think if I'm going to be critical of Juwan, and again, it's not Jet is the one that I'm critical of. It's Jace. Juwan brought Jace aboard when nobody else in the Power 5 was recruiting him. So he's on the team because of who his dad is. And when you don't have anybody on the bench, you have nobody to go to, you start looking to the players that are recruited. Why is Jace on the team? That's great that Juwan wanted him on the team, but you know what he had to do? He had to do something and contribute to the team, or it was going to look like nepotism. That's what it looks like. So I'm sorry that it's gone down like that, but that's the way that that's what it is. If we're calling it like we see it. Here's Todd. T-Will was starting to get open. Kobe didn't see him. Good game if you're a Hoosier fan. Bad game and depressing if you're a Michigan fan. Great game if you're a major college basketball fan like myself. Yeah, Todd, there's not a lot of solace if you're a Michigan fan. These last 2 games have been, very thrilling. Excellent. But like I said, that, that's not, you got to win one of them. And that's the kick. And, they win either of these games, they're pretty close. Close as to getting it done in college basketball. But if you could just take, for instance, any of these shots that we've been talking about, Michigan probably had 10 shots in these last 2 games. The double overtime loss to Illinois, the overtime loss today, where if they make them, we're sitting around and it's a completely different conversation. Nobody wants to play this team. Watch out in Chicago. Watch out in the NCAA tournament. But stacked together with the narrative now of their season that we have, it's the end. There's no more games. I mean, the 2022-23 season is over. Why is Michigan in the spot that they are, saying it as easy as we can? They can't close ball games. They can't make a play, enough plays in big time situations with the coach or the players to be able to win some of those games. That's why they're not dancing. That's on the coach. That's on the players. Ultimately, it goes to the coach. I can sit around. It's not very much fun. You want me to go through the schedule? Oh, look at that one, that one, that one, that one. It's going to happen. I think the only game that Michigan won that was like a, rough and tumble, one possession game down to the end was against Minnesota. They were able to take care of the Gophers, the worst team in the conference. They were able to get them. But other than that, they were not able to get anything done in close games. And it can happen. That's when it happens as much as it did. That's who you are. They had a chance to get off of that they couldn't close games or had enough players to make big plays. They had chances to get off of that narrative, but unfortunately, this is who they are. It's now stamped right on them. Stamp it, along with my Band-Aid that I have. And it's not a fun stamp. This is a team that couldn't get it done in crunch time. That's not a fun stamp. Hey, we're a team that could keep it close for 95% of the game, but couldn't make the plays to win it. No fun. No fun there. Andres with shout out. Thanks, Andres. AJ says Kobe's the new leader. He's just young. Kobe was tremendous this year. I hope that, Kobe Buffkin, I wish him the best, whatever he does. I can't remember a player that went into a season that went from somebody that I didn't even know was a starter, or I questioned whether he was going to be good enough to be a starter in the Big Ten, to being a star. That's Kobe Buffkin. And like I say, best of luck to him. You say selfishly, you want him to come back? Yeah, I want him to come back. I want him to do, whatever he wants to do. He's got, the blessing. He probably going to get picked in the first round, so he's probably going to go. And that kind of sucks for Michigan. If he comes back, it'll be great. Be great for Michigan, but you can't. How am I going to be set with him? As we learned last year, Caleb Houston had an extremely disappointing season for a guy that was considered a top 10 freshman, a 5-star in college basketball, and a guy that everybody knew wasn't going to get picked in the first round. It didn't matter. He got picked in the second round and got a guaranteed $4 million. It's like Caleb Houston, was a big disappointment and walked away with $4 million guaranteed. So, this is the big time. And I don't know, Jets projected to go in the mid-first round. That's like 20 guaranteed. The way the majority of Michigan fans, talk about Jet, I think they would just rather have him go collect his 20 mil. Todd, and it's a shame with T. Will. T. Will's my favorite player on the team. You get behind a player, I like him. But you also have to be honest about it. There's no seniors on this team. Joey Buckets, Joey Baker, as a transfer, and Jalen Llewellyn, who we only saw a second of. Those guys didn't help very much this year. You can't do anything about an injury, but what are you going to say about Joey Buckets? His confidence clearly shot. Obviously, the coaches didn't have any faith in him, didn't even put him out there. Barely. Not for any big shots at this game. No, there was not going to be any sweet redemption for Joey Baker. Let me just get back to it. There's the three juniors on this team. You got Hunter Dickinson. These are the captains. Jace Howard, I already mentioned him. I feel bad. Guy's an excellent student. Seems like a great teammate, cheering on the crowd, good-looking kid, all those things. He would be the greatest walk-on in history. But he's a scholarship player. He's not really getting it done as a junior. Very little. Disappointment, I'll say. Terrence Williams Jr. Terrence Williams II. Sorry. At times, last year, jumped up and you thought, woo. Just think about the jump that Buffkin made, of Williams from sophomore to junior season, but very little. At times he would jump up, but not enough. Once a month, one game a month, not enough. And those are your three juniors. And we just talked about the two transfers. Wow, that's five guys. I mean, you're talking about your upperclassmen. Dickinson, okay. Jace Howard, TW2, Joey Buckets Baker, and Jalen Llewellyn, those five. Woo! I hear this. Should have went golfing today. I don't know where these must not live in Michigan. There's no golfing in Michigan today. Common denominator. We're going through it a little bit. Well, Deez is fired up. I got it. Jill wants to talk about the refs. Refs didn't lose this game for Michigan, but nobody cares about me talking about the refs. Todd says Maryland could win it. Penn State, anybody. I agree, Todd. I'm with you. We've got Arctic Canvas, a first-timer on the feedback. He is making a point. Let's read and see what he says on the feedback. How many times will this team fail to execute with a game on the line? I don't know, 5 at least off the top of my head, but I could go through the schedule. It could be more. First, twice against Illinois, now Indiana, where they failed to make a play with a chance to win it. Yeah, I started, thinking about plays, big plays that I wanted to talk about in regulation with 4 minutes to go. And Cheddar missed the front end of a 1-and-1, but they got the offensive rebound, Michigan did, but the shot clock ran out. And, that was Buffkin and Dickinson right there, your two guys that you got to be able to get a shot up. They weren't able to do it. One possession game with 4 minutes to go. Boom. Gotta do better than that. That's not on Juwan Howard. I may be the bench. Shoot or something, whatever. They had to know better than that. Let's see. Then it was Kobe just missed a 3. 2.5 to go. Down 1. Hunter made a nice block. Kobe was then fouled and made some free throws. That was nice. Hunter Dickinson with a hook to tie things up at 69. That was a nice hook shot. Dickinson in deep. Old Hood Schifino, who's going to be the Big Ten Freshman of the Year, measured up Dickinson and knocked that 3 down from up top to tie this game. Sorry, at 69. Dickinson actually put Michigan up by 3 with that hook shot. But the last 44 seconds in regulation is disappointing. 44 seconds to go, and Hunter is stripped by Race Thompson. What do you want me to say? He's got to be stronger with the ball. Don't bring it down. Get it away from him. If it's a double team, you got to be able to make the play. He didn't. And yet Thompson came down, missed a shot. Michigan had a reprieve. But with 13.4 left, they ended up, it was a 2-man game with Jet and Hunter, looked like maybe screening for one another outside, and it ended up being Hunter jacking up a 3. It's a pretty good look, but that's not what I want. That's the best play that you're going to be able to run. So that was regulation. And then overtime, Michigan missed their first 3 shots. And they just got the Hunter Dickinson 3. I think they got a free throw in there somewhere too. I'm just going to look because I've mentioned it a couple times. What did Michigan get in overtime? Michigan got a Hunter Dickinson 3. I think that's it. Oh, Doug McDaniel. Oh, that's right. He got a free throw late with 6 seconds to go, and then he missed the one on purpose. That's it in overtime. And say, get it to Kobe in overtime. Kobe, the first 2 possessions went to Bufkin in overtime. He missed a short one and missed another one. Then McDaniel got blocked. There wasn't a whole lot. Hoosiers got a 3, 2 free throws, and a layup in their first 3 possessions, and Michigan had 3 missed shots. Ball game. AJ said it would be nice if Kobe comes back for 1 more year. Yes. You and I am with you on that. Bufkin comes back, I'm buying a Michigan basketball jersey that says Bufkin on the back. That's where I'm at. We'll see if that happens. What number is he? Number 2? I'm in. Account 22, who shows up on these shows quite often, has now entered the chat. Not happy about the game. He says absolutely brutal. Deanne wants to know why Reed was in on offense late and not Joey Baker. Did Howard lose all of his confidence with Baker in the final game of the season? I think the answer is yes with that. It's tough. The real tough to have to sit there on the side. Arctic is making a declaration that Kobe will be back. All right, let's look at some of these numbers. I'm going to read some more. But let me look at some of the numbers in the game. How it ended up coming down. Michigan only being able to get unfortunately, able to get the bucket by Hunter Dickinson, the 3 in overtime. Let's see if I can get the box score. I guess I can blow it up, but I can't get that whole one. 75. Here it is. Here's Michigan's numbers. Dickinson, 24 points. Bufkin with 19. Not sure why I can't get the other ones in there. I'll work on that. I can do it. Let's get back and get some more of the feedback. It's a big one. Give me 1 second over here. Take some more of the feedback. This one is from Andres. If I was him, I would go to the draft or transfer. No, you wouldn't transfer. And that's something you say when you're a little sour on that. I think with the season, but look, I'm going to say this. When the season ends like it ended tonight, I understand people being sour. The days of, let's, talk about something else or whatever. It's a pretty sour situation. Andres, I get what you're saying. All right, here are the numbers if you wanted to look at some of them. Dickinson, 24 and 14. Those look good. Bufkin, 19 and 6. Yeah, Jet, 16 and 4. Doug with 10 and 2. Cheddar, 2 points, 4 rebounds, and 2 teeth knocked out. Not much from the bench. A deuce from Terrence Reed. Joey Baker did not play very much. 1 field goal attempt. 1 board, that's it. Jace got in there at the end of the first half. I don't know, TW2 was in for I don't know, a second or two. That's one of the issues with this team. They don't have they don't have, I'll say it for like the 10th time. They don't have the players that were able to make enough plays in crunch time to win ball games. They played enough games and there was enough scoring droughts where we just understand that, they weren't able to get that done. That's on the coach. It's also on the individual players. If you play a certain way, you have to be able to draw things up to get easier baskets. And you have to, I don't think they should have been going to Hunter Dickinson in the final 2 minutes of the game, or you got to be able to shift that out, and you got to be able to put guys in position where they're going to be able to make enough plays to play off of one another and win games. I know they're scratching their heads. Everybody else is as well. But that's what it came down to with this team. And number one, that's on Juwan Howard to try to figure that out. Let's see what Hadley has to say. Was Dickinson supposed to get the ball for the last shot in OT? If so, wasn't Hunter told he would get the ball? Well, the last shot in overtime, Dickinson was stripped of the ball. If we just look, Hadley, there was he got the three, and then there was 1:31 left, and he missed. They gave him the ball. He had it down three. He missed because remember, Terrace Reed got the ball with a couple seconds left, an offensive rebound, but had to fire it up pretty quick. 23 seconds left. Michigan was down three. They threw it to Dickinson, and he got stripped. They were going to go for the quick two there. Dickinson, the last two possessions. Now, when they got down to with 6 seconds, Indiana wisely, as we have noticed, if we learned anything, that Wisconsin didn't foul Michigan, and it cost them. Michigan State didn't foul Iowa, and it cost them. You foul when you're in a situation where you're up three. And Mike Woodson did that, maybe to the shock of Big Ten fans. Like, oh my gosh, wow, they're fouling up three with under 10 seconds to go. That's what you're supposed to do. I'll say it, it's easier said than done. We all say it, but obviously it's easier said than done because Tom Izzo's team doesn't do it. Greg Gard's team didn't do it, and it cost him. So that's it when it comes down to it. D says that Kobe isn't ready. The final play showed that he needed to take that shot. Yeah, remember this about the pros. It's not about if you're ready. It's about if you're going to get drafted. It's about 3 years guaranteed money, and most guys get, a fourth. And remember, Kobe, with his age, even though he's a sophomore, he's the same age as Jet, so it's like he's a freshman. And so he's just a young guy, and there's nothing that NBA teams like more than youth and a chance to be able to draft young guys because they have a higher ceiling. So that adds up to Bufkin, being somebody that would likely get taken in the first round. Now, look, like I said, he can do whatever he wants. I hope that he comes back because I like Michigan basketball. I root for the guy if he goes pro. Most guys I want to stay. And most guys I don't think are ready. But, what's Hunter Dickinson going to do? Where's he going? Maybe he'll go to Japan. Like, who was the big fellow from Illinois? Kofi Coburn. Well, Kofi Coburn's a gigantic, is almost as big as Shaq. Nobody touched him in the NBA. He went to Japan. And you can make like $1 million, playing in Japan. Aiden Hutchinson taking some pictures, says the greatest trip that he's ever taken. I've been looking at his photos from Japan. So maybe, I don't know if Michigan's collective wants to put together 7 figures again for Dickinson, maybe he'll come back. I would take Hunter Dickinson back. But this is what happens when you end the season on a sour note. It's kind of like, see ya, everybody get out of here. Let's restart this. Michigan shouldn't have given up the 12-point lead they had, but I knew they would. I knew they would too. I mean, well, they've done it all year long. I was just hoping that they were going to find a way to finally win one of these games, close games, save the Minnesota game that they were able to win, but none of the other ones. Andres was fishing. Smart move. Now we're all gone fishing. Jason, not happy. Casey says, does anybody think Jet will be good in the NBA? I think Jet has a chance to be good in the NBA. I do. He's got an NBA type game. Now, I was going to say I watched the NBA. Like, I did watch the NBA today. I watched the Suns and the Mavs. It was a great game. But there were superstars all over the place. But it's the kind of game, Jet can play. He's got that kind of game. So, yeah, I think that I don't know about him being like a star or something like that, but I definitely think that he can play in the NBA. I don't agree with this. I think Jet is athletic enough. I mean, if you guys think that, I don't know, like, do I think he's like Damian Lillard or something? When it gets down, no, I don't think he's that. But I do think that he's a nice player. He reminds me a little bit of the Pistons had him a couple of years ago. The kid had another Jeremy Grant, the same size. Does a lot of the same things. Grant's made 60, 70, 80 million in the league. I can see Jet doing that. The thing about saying that Howard needs to go, I don't know if are you talking about Jace, Jet, or Jawan? I think Jet will go if he feels like he's going to get a first round grade. Jace is having the time of his life. I don't think he's going anywhere. And Jawan is, as disappointing as things sit right now, is disappointing. He's going to get another year. And he should get another year. Today's not the day that I feel all great. Like, he's going to get another year, and he deserves another year. So that's the way it is. Antoine saying the Pistons suck. Luckily, I don't even watch the NBA. I'll tell you what, Antoine, it sucks watching the Pistons. I watched them play the Cavs last night. They got beat by 40. Yeah, and they suck. They're tanking for Wembanyama, the French assassin, so we'll see if they get him. And Cunningham comes back. But like I said, I watched the Mavs and the Suns today. That was great. I hope they play in the postseason. I'll watch every one of those games. Durant, Luka Doncic, Kyrie. Right? It was superstar Chris Paul. It was a great game, right down to the end. You missed it. He'll peak as a J.R. Smith type player. That ain't bad. There ain't nothing wrong with being a J.R. Smith. Who was I forgot. There was the guy that was doing the Virginia game, and he made a NBA comp to Jet, but I don't remember. Mine was Jeremy Grant. I don't remember what that guy's was, but I was like, wow, that was a pretty nice comparison. Jet saying that Buffkin will be better in the NBA. 3 and no D. It's his game. Jason stopped watching the Pistons after they won the championship against the Lakers. So 2000 and what are we talking about? 2003? Tell me you didn't watch it a couple years after that? All right. Jason says 17 and 14 is not acceptable. I agree. NIT bound. That stings. Jason bringing the stinging part to it all. That's it. People saying that they're not going to watch the team in the NIT. You know, the NIT's nobody's interested tournament. Let's wait and see. I'm not sitting around. I'm not selling the NIT today. I'm not. I'm just going to wait on that. I'll be waiting on anything on the NIT. Here's Jason coming in with a highlighted feedback. I'm having a good day. No more Michigan basketball, please. It's the Michigan basketball postgame live. All right, that's it. Let's switch it over and talk about the combine and the Wolverines. So many guys went out there, and just think about DJ Turner running a 4.27. How about Mozzie Smith on the bench press 36 times? He's locking it out. He looked awesome. Both of the kickers, tremendous. For Michigan, when you think about the combine and Moody and Brad Robbins, I hope the Lions end up with Jake Moody. I hope the Lions end up with Mozzie Smith. He looks like he's going to be a fabulous pro. DJ Turner, that's his, he ran, what was it, a 4.27. But when he ran it, we had heard that he had sub 4.3 speed last year, 40 speed. And then I remember Harbaugh saying, you know what? Turner can run a sub 4.3, but Roman Wilson runs right with him. Neck and neck. And that's what I was thinking of, Jason, because I'm like, if Michigan has a sub 4.3, they have a 4.27 speedster right now on the offense, and his name is Roman Wilson. Yeah, it's fun. It's a lot more fun to switch gears and talk football, honestly, but this is the Michigan basketball post-game show. Yeah, look, people are ready. They're ready to flip it. It's, the good news is there's not going to be too many left. There's not too much left. I'll be here even if it's the NIT. I'm like I said, I'm not ready. I know they were cheering it in Champaign. I heard NIT chants. Oh man, to have 2 5-star recruits in consecutive years like Caleb Houston and Jed, and have been such disappointments is unbelievable. Yeah, well, I don't know. The rankings and everything else, I don't think Jet ended up being a 5-star, although he was highly acclaimed. I'm not making it sound like he wasn't. They had 2 5-stars last year in Caleb, 2 top 25 guys with Diabate and Caleb Houston. Yeah, I'm not overall. I'm disappointed in the team. It's like the guys individually. Am I disappointed in Hunter Dickinson? I wish, he's really good, except in like a couple key spots. I wish he could have made one more play. I wish Kobe could have been able to make one more play. Jet Howard. I wish he could have drained one more 3 in a key spot. One play. This team was one play away 5, 6 different times this year. That's not a fun spot to be. Count 22s. Get the big ask. Win 3 at the tourney. Win 3 in the Windy City, and they're in. There you go. There's the spirit. It's a big ask. Can they do it? Let's go. Arctic doesn't even think that would get him in. I think if they won 3, that they would get in. Jason now bringing up the women's team. Losing to OSU. Yeah, I mean, conference tournaments, is that where they lost the conference tournament? You'd like to see them win those, but the NCAA tournament's what it's all about. Somebody bringing up DJ Wilson. Not really sure why that. Here's Dave. We haven't seen. I'm getting the people up here that have not had the feedback in yet. We'll read those. Before we leave you, Michigan basketball IQ just seems to be the lowest that I've seen, maybe ever. We have had lesser talented teams that couldn't compete, but this team has no excuse. Yeah, I can't argue with, they weren't able to get it done. Coaches and the players. So what can I say? Caleb went in the first round. No, Caleb did not go in the first round. He went in the second round. There's only 30 teams in the NBA, not 32. I think he went first or second pick in the second round, not in the first round. But I mean, let's just split the hairs. He got a $4 million guaranteed. It used to be like if because you wanted to go in the first round because you got the guaranteed 3, and most of the time they picked up the fourth year, even a fifth year, I think. But then if you got into no guaranteed contracts in the second round, but they like the cheaper guys now in the second round, and they do give guaranteed contracts. I didn't know that until last year, and Caleb got that $4 million, so that's the way it was. Treppa says props to Talking Michigan, whether they win or lose. Can't say the same for other Michigan YouTubers. Yeah, I don't know who you're referring to there. What people they don't come on after they lose. Yeah, I understand that. But I mean that's weak. It's like this. I like listening to. I like to hear the sound. I don't know if I like listening to it. The broadcast team, they interview the coach and they have the players afterwards and they put the coach's news conference up, except when they have a devastating loss. Nobody's talking, you don't hear from anybody. It's like, how about when you win or lose? Everybody wants to hear from you. It's not just when that's happening. Oh boy. It's a sad state of affairs here at the end. Let's see. Chris says, Dennis, your recap sucks. They have no PG, the end. No point guard? Well, I'm going to disagree with you on this, Chris. I think they do have a point guard. So I don't know what kind of basketball. I don't know how much basketball. I've never seen you on here before or anything else. Like my recap. But I think Doug McDaniel's a pretty good point guard. Now, he had a shot blocked in overtime, which was unfortunate. And I do know, I have a friend, Chris, who's just like you. Now, he doesn't think my recap sucked, but he blames everything always on any team on the point guard. He does the same thing in football with the quarterback. He didn't even have to watch the game. He'll just say, it was the quarterback's fault. He will not have watched this Michigan game, and he'll text me tomorrow and say, yeah, Doug McDaniel blew it. The point guard blew it. So there are people that are very predictable that go to the point guard quarterback game. But Michigan did not lose this game because they didn't have a point guard. But you can always make a case because the point guard sets everybody else up, gets the table ready and sits everybody down and spoon feeds everybody. You can make that case. But in this game, if you're looking for the number one reason why Michigan lost the game, it was not because of the point guard. Do I want to specifically say it was a player? I would have to say it was Hunter Dickinson. Even though Hunter had 24 and 14, he was stripped at the end of regulation and in overtime when Michigan needed him to make the play. He was stripped with 44 seconds to go. Then he missed a three-pointer with 13 seconds to go in regulation. And then with under 2 minutes to go, he missed from in the paint with 90 seconds to go. And then he was stripped with under a minute to go. So Hunter Dickinson with under 90 seconds to go in overtime, missed 2 shots, including getting stripped on one. And with under 44 seconds to go, he got stripped and missed a 3. I like Hunter Dickinson, but he's the reason, Chris. So I think your feedback, while I enjoy it, is incorrect. It was not the point guard. Well, like I said, I've got a friend that's just like you. Look at Chris jumping back in here. He hadn't been here all year. Michigan loses. He's jumping in. Kobe has way too much. He's calling people sissies. Okay, there we go. Man, maybe a little Saturday. I might, think you might be out there, maybe having one or two. More from Chris. Reed should just play football. Dave says, at the beginning of the year, I thought Jet would be a star. Maybe so did he. That's why he ended up not working. Here's Tim, who says, they just don't have that go-to guy who can go and get it. At least nobody has stepped up in these close losses. Tim, that's right on. I mean, I said that at the beginning. It's sort of the same way. And I've said it, it took me like 10 minutes, 20 minutes, but this is it. I thought your name was Short. I was like, hey, Tim's keeping it nice and short. They just don't have the go-to guy who can go get it for you, or nobody that has stepped up in these games. That is what happened with this team. Here's Piccolo, sorry. Good afternoon, he says. Well, thanks. Good to see you. Dickerson had no business getting the ball there. It's not his fault. There you go. It's point guard's fault. Don't give it to him. Oh, man. There's Chris again. He's getting into the chat late. He's into it. You think Kobe can handle anything associated with grown men? LOL. Yeah, well, if you understand how the draft worked, they draft on potential. Teams will be happy to take Kobe, and Kobe will be happy to take the $5 million that he'll get, or I guess it'll be like $14 million guaranteed if he gets drafted. I hope he comes back. But because he's so young, Chris, the NBA teams covet that. They love the 18, 19-year-old player that they can get their hands on because they have so much upside. And the way that Bufkin emerged, that more than anything. Well, that, and then along with what you saw from his game this year. Is there any chance Juwan gets an NBA offer? I think so. He has lots of connections. Well, if you're telling me that, would it be good if Juwan Howard got an NBA offer and took it, and then somehow, John Beilein wanted to come back and coach Michigan? That is some kind of a dream scenario, I think, for a lot of people. I don't think either of those things are happening, but because Beilein lives in Ann Arbor and is just down the road, it at least gives you, what is it? It's slim and none and under 1%, but since it's there and we see crazy things happen in sports all the time, it would not be the craziest thing ever. I don't know. Some team going to give Juwan Howard a head coaching job in the NBA? Here's the problem. Juwan might be a fine coach in the NBA. But when you're hiring a coach, see Jim Harbaugh, like the first couple of years, Jim Harbaugh, there's no team. Even though he was successful, you're like, I think Jim Harbaugh wanted a job after the pandemic season. Michigan had 2 wins. These teams were like, we're going to sell Jim Harbaugh? Not very exciting. You have to have some success, unless you're going from the pros to college, or you need to have something where, if Juwan, if it was 2 years ago and Michigan won the Big Ten, do I think Juwan Howard may have been able to get a job then? I do. I think he would have been able to get a job. Not now. I don't think that's happening. Now, that would be a power move by the athletic director, finding some way to, make that happen. But when you say things like that, I mean, this is the end of the season, and Juwan, is deserving a little criticism. So a hypothetical that's not going to happen, that he's going to have to deal with it. I'm sorry. It happened. Whew. We okay, yeah, this is it right here. Tim says the season isn't over. It's the Big Ten tournament. And then he says most likely the NCAA. I don't know where you're saying most likely the NCAA. But the season is not over. You are right about that. I'm saying it feels like it. I mean, it's a Sunday. It was the last game. Another loss. There's no I'm not crunching any net losses or quad full. None of that right now. Michigan wants to go to the tournament in Chicago and win some ball games. They can pull me back in. And even if they don't and they have to go to the NIT, I'll still be watching the games and they'll go from there. And it is a season, I will give you this, Tim, that I think that there's at least 10 teams that could win the Big Ten tournament. There's never been that many. Maybe 4, maybe 5, maybe 6, not 10. So this is as wide open as the Big Ten tournament has ever been. So Michigan, go out and get to the weekend. And let's see. They have 17. And like I've said all along, if they could get to 19 wins, that's only 2 wins. 2 measly wins. Do I think that gets them in? Probably not. But they're at least in the conversation, and it wouldn't be the craziest thing ever. They get 2 wins in Chicago. They've got a shot where they're going to be in the bracketology. They're going to be on the bubble. You could feel like they could get snubbed. It'll probably come down to some mid-major and all this going on. But, they do have they certainly have brand recognition, but they got some star recognition. And people like to see Michigan in the tournament, so they would have that going for them. So 19 wins, maybe. 20, I would feel pretty good about it. So if they only need 2 freaking wins, so the people that tell you they got to win the Big Ten tournament or they're not getting in, I don't believe that. I think they could do it with 2. I wouldn't be like holding my breath like, oh, yeah, they're in. If they just get to Saturday, but they'd be in with a chance. And you know how it works. We've seen it a million times. I don't think, you start get some parade going if they win 1 game in Chicago, but they win 2. All of a sudden that bracketology is going to get real exciting. So, Tim, I'm with you. Chris is keeping it real now. If U of M wins 2 games in the Big Ten tournament, they're in. You guys can't be this stupid. Chris, I think that I would give them, like I said, I'd have had to put a percentage on it, 70%. It depends, Chris. You sound like maybe you're like, a Chris brackets here. What you realize, Chris, is that saying that they'll get in the Big Ten tournament for sure is not something that I agree with. It's going to come down to how other teams do and where the numbers are at. That's the truth. But, it's nice for you to be so confident in what you're saying. And I will hope that you're actually correct. Not that I'm stupid or whatever you said earlier. You called me a sissy. No, that was you called one of the players. So it was a point guard or something. All right. Know this, that we're here after every Michigan football and basketball game. DJ Turner has now changed his name to DJ Burner. I watched the clip. And Rich Eisen from the NFL Network, the Wolverine grad, said, Turner, turning heads here at the Combine. But I like this one better. DJ Burner. No, I don't think anybody's upset. Tim's doing some bracketology. If they win 1 in the Big Ten tournament, Tim says they're in. Yeah, Tim, I don't want to bet. I'm not going to bet against Michigan. I would love for that to happen. I'm just giving you my honest assessment. You're saying that was 1. That was Palm who had him as one of the last 4 in. So they're not one of the last 4 in anymore. They'll be like one of the last 8 in. So if they got 1 win, they could be back to like, I said 2 maybe. That's it. I think that I've run through them all. What I like is that people have jumped in and want to continue talking about Michigan. Yeah. Thanks. My daughter's, it must be her Band-Aids. It's a perfect Band-Aid. It's worked very good. Thanks, Scott. It's not happening with Juwan Howard. The team did not play really well in crunch time. I'm with you on that. Here's some people talking about smoking. Wants to know what everybody's smoking. What is everybody smoking? Yeah, it's not about being ready for the NBA. It's about getting drafted. All right. We've been over those stuff. Well, I do want to give you that upcoming schedule. Most of the reason is I like to tell you this. Let's check the upcoming schedule. That is brought to you by the Maize and Blue Reviews. Good afternoon, Michigan football and basketball, which you can hear here on the feed that you're watching or listening to right now at 1 o'clock weekdays. And if you're on Twitter, that just means that you'll have to go to the YouTube channel. We'll give you that upcoming schedule. It says Steve has a request. So maybe Steve wants to come on and talk about Michigan basketball. I'll do it, man. I'll stay here all night. Steve, you are with us on Spaces. Michigan loses 75-73. It is a final in overtime. They have 17 wins. Steve, are they in?
Close. It's going to be close.
All right.
It's going to be very close. Breaking news, Dan Campbell is going to address the Michigan basketball team.
Okay.
That should be exciting. Get a microphone there. Oh, and the Lions drafting DJ Turner at 6, and they're going to take the Florida quarterback at 18.
Well, you know what? I don't think that Richardson is going to be there at 18, and I do think Turner should. So I like where you're going, but I think the Lions, I think Richardson is definitely at play at 6 for the Lions, and I think that Brad Holmes and company could wait till at least the second or third round. Turner might be a second rounder. I was thinking a third rounder, even with what he ran. But I like Mozzie Smith in the second. Anthony Richardson at 6. That wouldn't be the worst thing that the Lions. I know people don't like that, but
they need a quarterback.
Well, and they've got an extra pick.
Jared Goff is not the future.
Well, and he would be a nice bridge quarterback. And, if Richardson doesn't work out in 2 years, then they can stay with Goff. I don't think that's the worst strategy ever.
I mean, we just had a mobile quarterback win a Super Bowl. The Lions need a mobile quarterback. He fits that mold.
Well, I think you need a great quarterback and or a really good quarterback on a rookie contract. And Richardson could be a great quarterback. And he certainly will be on a rookie contract. And then, Goff could bring him along. So they've got 2 picks. I think any of those quarterbacks, I said Richardson at 6. I think Levis, and I know those guys, some of their completion percentages, in particular Richardson, has people scared.
Yeah.
People get scared all the time with drafting quarterbacks. I'm not upset if they take a quarterback, Steve. So
I won't either. But to go back to Michigan basketball, they got to win 2 games. And then I think they can get in. They'll be probably playing in Ohio to get in the tournament, the first 4 out or in, and then who knows?
There you go. As much as we make fun of teams like Michigan State that don't get into the field of 64 and have to play in the play-in game, I would gladly take a play-in game right now, Steve.
Yeah, I think they're going to have a play-in, and the Pistons are going to take Victor Wembanyama. It's a done deal. We're getting them Victor. We're tanking for Victor.
Well, we are tanking for him, but so's Houston and so's San Antonio. And so down there, but they're in with a chance. And the great thing about Wembanyama is that the other dude, Scoot, at number 2, he looks like he would be a pretty good booby prize. Now, getting the dude with the gun from that brought the loaded gun from Alabama. I don't know if we.
No, I don't want him. No,
I don't.
no,
No, that really
that would not be a good fit. I'd take Scooter. But I was thinking this, man, can you imagine if Victor went to the University of Michigan? Oh my gosh.
No, I don't know what it would be like. I have not watched a lot of them except highlights. I've never really seen anything. It reminds me of, I don't know how old you are, Steve. You sound like you're more of a youngster.
43.
You're kind of a youngster. A decade before, Indiana had this guy named Rick Smits.
Yeah, I remember Rick Smith. Yeah, Indiana He went to Louisville College, didn't he?
I think he went to Marist or something.
Okay.
That's just a guess on my part, but probably a pretty good one. But he was kind of a skilled big man. But if you put another 2-3 inches on him and maybe took 100 pounds off of him, it kind of reminded me of that. But he's incredible. We'll see. The shooting, he looks like he's got a great shot already, which is something that's really
Cool. Can I ask you? Did you see what the Boston Red Sox did the other day?
The Boston Red Sox. I've been looking a little bit at baseball. I watched about 5 minutes of the Tigers today for the first time in spring training. I don't think the Red Sox are going to be any good this year. What about the Boston Red Sox?
Well, Joey Gallo was at the plate, and they found a loophole in the shift. So now they're bringing the center fielder, the left fielder, in to when he hits. And the Tigers put that on, and he hit a home run. Gallo hit a home run.
Yeah, well, they didn't make any rules. You can do anything you want with the shift. They haven't said anything this year that they're
just limiting. In the infield. But, I mean, we don't need that.
Yeah, right. Yeah, well, maybe they'll, that's what spring training is for. They should be able to figure that out. If that's the loophole, to be able to bring somebody in the shift.
And now Manfred's going to be like, didn't I just ban the shift in the infield? Okay, ban it in the outfield.
That's it. Well, he can do it. He's got time to go before the start of the season. So do it.
Yeah, but now doesn't he have to go to the union now?
Yeah, well, if they do, but they can get it done. Like, look, the sports, what we've learned in the last couple of years, you can get it done in a minute. But the point about baseball and with the players union and baseball agreeing on things, that it's all concessions and everything else. That's a pretty good point that you make. Me acting like they could just get something done in spring training. This would be, some kind of sweetener for the new collective bargaining agreement. And everybody suddenly wants, they don't want to concede anything because it'll make them lose.
Because they got a competition committee now, and they got like 45 days. There's like a window of 45 days to, okay, let's review it. And then.
Well, there you go. You sound like you know more about it than me, Steve.
No, you're the expert. I just watch ESPN. I do listen to you, but I keep forgetting what radio station or podcast you're doing.
Well, let me help you out. It is the Maize and Blue Review. And
okay.
If you follow me on Twitter,
I do.
Yeah, well, send me a tweet. I'll send you a link, and so you can be there every day to be able to watch it. And a lot of the times, I don't every day put it up on Twitter, but if I had more people calling, I would put it up on Twitter because I like taking the calls too.
Are you on Twitch then? You put the show on Twitch?
I put it on. It's on YouTube, live on YouTube.
Oh, you're on YouTube? Oh, I didn't know that.
I'm a YouTuber. That's it.
Oh, cool.
I could put it on Twitch. I did that in the past, but I'm not as familiar with the Twitch game. That's more like the gamers and everything else. But
your former employer is on Twitch.
Yeah, and I was doing a show afterwards, and I did mess around a little bit. And Steve, I do appreciate you getting in. I was doing just a general sports show, and along with YouTube, we were putting it on Twitch, and
it's fun. It's a fun. It really. I mean, for gamers, but you got ESPN on there. You got WEEI in Boston. I'm watching Boston sports, and they're freaking out because the Patriots didn't make the Super Bowl. It's insane.
Well, Steve, maybe I will. Maybe I will.
Maybe get some gamers in there.
Yeah, there's nothing wrong with that. All right.
No.
Thank you, Steve. Appreciate it. That's the way it's done. Twitch is what's come out of this. Who knows? Normally, I was looking, say, a lot of somebody was mentioning other Michigan shows, and I look at these shows and these guys are racking up the viewers, and I keep thinking that they must be on some kind of loop where they're cheating, but they only go on for like 5 or 10 minutes. The Michigan basketball postgame show goes on for an hour and 20 minutes. That's going to do it. We'll be here tomorrow at 1 o'clock. Thanks, everybody, so much for being with us, and we'll talk with you at 1 o'clock tomorrow. Till then.